Hey guys, so today I'm going to be doing a recommendation video for It's Always Been You romances. I'm super excited. This is one of my favorite tropes of all time. It also includes a couple of other tropes like second chance romance or what we could have been kind of thing. So I'm super excited to share these with you. These are some of my all-time favorite books. Some of them are. So let's go right into it. The first book I want to share with you is Learn My Lesson by Katie Robert. This is the second book in her, I don't know what this series is called, Wicked Villain series. And this one, all of these books are about, like, she based it off of kind of like Disney characters a little bit, and like switches up the relationship. Like the first one is Jafar and Jasmine. And then this one is Meg, Zeus, and Hercules. So It's Always Been You trope I think of is Zeus and Meg, and a little bit of Hercules, because Zeus has been planning this for a really long time with Hercules, and Hercules is kind of this, he still has that innocentness of him, and he's always trying to be the hero. And Meg is told by not Zeus, I don't know why I said Zeus, it's Hades, by Hades, that she has to trick Hercules into thinking that she's in a bad relationship with Hades, and that she needs to get out of it. So he'll make a deal with Hades so that he's like bound to him forever. And so they kind of all start a polyamorous relationship. It's very spicy and sexy. Hades owns a like pleasure / sex club, and so they do a lot of the stuff in there, and it's really interesting. I think what I really liked about this book is the variety of the different type of relationship they have. It's really interesting. Like Meg is kind of a dominant to Hercules and he's a submissive, but then Hades is like the dom to both Meg and Hercules. And it has some twists and turns because of Zeus, the father. We all know Zeus is trying to get Hercules back, and it's really interesting. But I really like this book. It's a fun read, and I think all of this whole series is on Kindle Unlimited, so I definitely go check it out. I really enjoy it. I need to continue on because I'm only on the second book, and it's like a 6-book series, but I do really enjoy them. Okay, so the next book is A Love Letter to Whiskey by Candy Steiner. This one is super popular and hyped. I would also put this in the category of super angsty. So these characters have known each other since high school, and she kind of wanted to be in a relationship with him and liked him, but then her best friend started dating him. And the whole book is basically how it's never the right time for them. Like either one of them is in a relationship or one of them is doing like a job somewhere, but it's so heartbreaking, and just you want them to be together so badly, and there's so many instances where you really don't think they're gonna be together, and it's pretty insane. Candy Steiner puts you through the ringer in this one. But I just love this book so much. I love the heroine. She kind of had an abusive father, and I think he like left or something, and then she was with her mom, and she talked a lot about that with the hero, and he talked a lot about with her like expectations of him from his family and stuff, and I really enjoy this one. It's so good. It's one of my favorite books of all time, so I definitely go pick this one up. I think also Candy Steiner is having a sale for September because she's getting married, and so all of her books, most of her books I think are like almost half price, maybe not, or like pretty good deal. Like I think for A Love Letter to Whiskey, the whole bind up with the other novel by like the hero's perspective is like $17 on Amazon, and normally it's almost like $40. So I definitely go get that one if you really want A Love Letter to Whiskey. But anyways, I just love this book and love Candy Steiner. Next one is called It Ain't Me Babe by Tilly Cole, and this one is a motorcycle romance, and our heroine, her whole life she's been in a cult, And she meets the hero when she's really young, when she's like playing by like the fence and stuff, and he sees her and is like, oh my gosh, she's the most beautiful girl I've ever seen. And years later she escapes, and she like somehow meets him again, and they realize like, oh my gosh, you're this guy from when I was younger, and you're this girl from when I was younger. So they kind of start having feelings in a relationship, but she has no idea about the world. Like, she's been so isolated in this cult, and it's a religious cult, and there are some pretty hard scenes to read. There's definitely triggers for sexual assault, sexual abuse, and it's pretty hardcore. It's a dark romance, and if any of those things trigger you, I would not read this book. But anyways, he is actually mute, and I think they like sort of figure out a way to communicate, and it's really cute. I don't remember this quite as well because I read it like 3 years ago. But I know I really enjoyed it, and this whole series is really good. I've read the second and like half of the third book, and I really enjoyed them. And they actually like get out some of her other sisters from the cult, so it gets pretty action packed and really good. So I highly recommend this one. So this next book I read last month, and that's Magnolia Parks by Jessa Hastings. So I read this for a reading vlog, and it's coming soon. It's taking a little bit longer than I wanted it to, but that's okay. So this one is, it's so good. So our hero and heroine, Magnolia and BJ, they've always been the best of friends since they were young. And they were in a really long relationship until something happened where they broke up, and it was kind of BJ's fault, and Magnolia never really forgave him, and the way they kind of get back at each other, to like, she wants to get back at him for the pain he inflicted on her, and he just wants to get back at her because he wants to be together with her, but like, he doesn't know how to talk to her about that. So he like has lots of, he sleeps with a lot of people to hurt her, and she dates a lot of people, but she's never like been with them. So it comes to this point in the book where they might finally like find a grounding, but then something else happens. It's just a very toxic, angsty relationship, but you know they're gonna end up in the end together, but they just have to like figure their stuff out. But I'm so excited to read the next book. This book series, I'm really excited for. It's so good. But it's definitely very angsty, and it does involve cheating. So if that triggers you or you don't like reading that in books, I wouldn't read this one. But honestly, I don't mind the cheating in this one because like, they're both doing things to hurt each other, and I think it'll be explained more in the next book. But highly, highly recommend. It's so good. So this next one I read a couple years ago, and it's Inevitable Conclusions by Christina C. Jones. I really want to read more of Christina C. Jones, but I absolutely love this one. So this is a second chance romance, and our hero and heroine were really good friends and decided to start a relationship when they were younger, but then it didn't work out, and so they're still like best friends till this day, and they're both older, which I really liked. And so they kind of start up a relationship again, and they're trying to figure out like, is this gonna work, is this not gonna work, but they kind of know they are gonna end up together. But I love this book. It's very angsty and steamy, and just like, I love the figuring out parts of this book, of like figuring out how it's gonna work, because she also has a daughter who's older though, but she has to like figure out how to tell her, and it's really good. I really adore this book. It's so good. I listened to it on audio. Highly, highly recommend. It was so good. Definitely go check Christina C. Jones out. And if you have any recommendations for her, leave them down below, because I would love to know more books to read from her, because I really enjoyed this one. So this next one is called Forget Me Not by QB Tyler. So I read this past year and absolutely loved it. I was just like so terrified to read it though. Even though I love angsty and emotional romances, this one is just, whoo, it is up there. So this is about our heroine and hero, and they're married, but they're about to get a divorce, and the hero gets in a really bad accident, and he doesn't remember the past like 2 years of when they were getting a divorce and stuff, and like their marriage was falling out. All he remembers is them being in a happy marriage and loving each other, and it's just this angsty pull and tug of like, he doesn't want to remember. He doesn't think he would ever cheat on her. He's just like, that's crazy. Why would I ever do that? And I love this book so much. It's so emotional. It made me cry. But it's so worth it. And the ending is just so beautiful. I love this book so much. So definitely go check it out. Okay, so this next one is one of my all-time favorite books ever. And I've like mentioned it a couple of times in some of my videos, but I just love this book so much. And it's The Surviving Trace by Kelly Reid. So this is a time travel romance, and our heroine is super into like history. She owns an antique shop with her best friend, and she finds this old picture of these 4 men in this picture, and they look very wealthy, and she's very intrigued by this picture, and so she brings it home with her, and she is actually engaged at the time, and she all of a sudden starts like transporting to this other world, which is I think 1912 Charleston, South Carolina. And she's transported into this time, and she's so confused, and so she gets out of bed and goes downstairs, and she is greeted by this man, the man in the picture, one of the men in the picture, and he's like, "Hello, wife," and she's like, "What?" So what happened was she switched places with somebody that was a doppelganger that looks exactly like her. And she like literally has no idea how that happened. And the husband hated his wife, and so he kind of hates her. It's kind of hate to love a little bit. But then he doesn't believe her that she's not his wife. And so she kind of has to prove it to him that she isn't his wife and she's somebody else, and it's really interesting, and they start falling in love. And I just love the scenery of this book, just this wealthy historic estate in the South, and just being it like plays a lot on the past, which I really liked. And then throughout the series there's this undercurrent of this mystery with her relatives, and it's really, really interesting. But I just love this book. The second book is my favorite because it gets way more angsty because of circumstances, and the series is just amazing. I highly, highly recommend. This next book I read just a little bit ago, and that's Garnet Flats by Devney Perry. This is a small town second chance romance, and so our heroine and hero used to date back in college, but then all of a sudden he tells her the day before she's going to leave to Seattle to start med school that he is marrying her best friend. And she is absolutely devastated, and she has no idea why. Like, it came out of the blue. And so now it's like years later, and she's back in her small town, being a doctor and just living her life. And the hero comes back into the picture and says, "I want you back." And she's like, "What? Aren't you married to my best friend?" And so it's very angsty. Second chance, always been you. Like, he knows that she is his end game. He is a fighter. I don't know if he's an MMA fighter. I'm not really sure, but he does like professional fighting, and he just wants her so bad, and he's a single dad too, but I'm not going to get into that because that's a little spoilery. But I just really like this book. I loved the angstiness and an emotional aspect of it, and I loved how she like fell in love with his daughter. It's something definitely different than I've read from Devney Perry, but I really liked it. I like that she tried something different in going more the angsty route, But yes, I really enjoyed this one. This is the third book in the Eden series. Oh my gosh. And I highly recommend this series. It's so good. Indigo Ridge, the first book. Our heroine's like the chief of police, and there's like a murder that happens, and so she has to figure it out. It's really good. And then the last book I want to talk about, this one is a little controversial. Not like super controversial, but like it's called Block Shot by Kennedy Ryan. And I love this book so much. The controversial part is there's cheating in here, and it seems like it's a little bit for no reason. Like, that's what people say. I personally didn't think it was for no reason. I think with the circumstances of the book and what was happening, like, I'm kind of okay with it. But anyways, this book is about our hero and heroine, and they met in college. And our heroine is plus size, and like something happened where they had like a one-night stand, but then there was this bet that the hero, his like friends in this frat house, he's trying to get into this frat house, and they made this bet saying like, if you sleep with that girl, then you can come in, like basically being really, really mean about her weight. And so they have this one night together, and it's amazing, and they kind of realize they have feelings for each other. But then she finds out about the bet, and she kind of like leaves and is like, you know, F you, why did you do that? And I would be the same, like, what is wrong with you? But then it's years later, and he is ready to get her back, and she's in a relationship, and it is like a basketball-ish romance. Like, the hero is like a publicist for some famous basketball players, and she's also a publicist. But I just love the relationship so much. I love how much he cared about her, and didn't care about her appearance, and just really loved her for her. And this is super emotional also. I cried during this book because I just love these characters so much, and they put each other through so much, but it's worth it. I highly recommend. I just love this book so much. So that is the end of this recommendation video. I hope you enjoyed it. I love all of these books with my whole heart. They're some of my favorites of all time. So definitely go check some of those out. But yeah, that's the end of this video, and I hope you enjoyed it. Bye.